Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your game, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome back to another episode of Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. Boys, it's been a while since it's been three of us. I am here joined with Alex and Norton. What's up, Alex?
What's going on, man?
Not much. What's up, Norton?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm just ready for this the three-person show, man. It's been since I think summer. I think it's been summer.
I think so. It's been a bit.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of laughing earlier when every time you see the video, like our intro with Brian, it always, like, the way he turns around and looks at the camera while he's grilling hamburgers, it looks like he was just asked, like, are those never frozen patties? And he just kind of smiles like, yep.
Those are for sure just frozen patties. What's up, Albert? Although he has started going into ground beef a little bit more. You know what, though? That brings up a great dad bod topic here that it will never cease to stump me. What up, Willie? Willie was just texting me. He just bought Elden Ring. I don't know if you guys have ever played it. It's a freaking great game.
I've heard it's good. I don't have the attention span for it, but I heard it's good.
So good. It's good too.
But the dad bod topic, have you guys ever used, oh my God, I'm going to mess up the name. Oh no, Blackstone. Have you ever used a Blackstone grill or eaten off of it?
I don't have one, but I've used it. I have like three buddies who have it.
No,
Jordan?
I have not.
So my brother-in-law has one, and he cooked frozen patties on it, and you would have no clue that they were frozen patties.
It's that good,
because
it just season press it down.
It holds all that grease there, right? Like all the grease, it just cooks in this grease and everything. The cheese just melts in between it. I was like, man, these are the best frozen patties I've ever eaten off of anybody.
I want a Blackstone. They have them on sale at Costco right now. I'm so tempted.
Part of me thinks that it's a good. I personally think it's more of an addition to a grill rather than replacing it.
Yeah, it's not a replacement for like a propane grill, but it does cook mean burgers, hibachi, and breakfast.
That's it. Yep. That's it right there. Those are the three things that you would really want. Like you could do the eggs, you could do pancakes on it. The hibachi is like really the selling point that people have.
Oh yeah. Make an onion volcano, like tell the neighbors, like, hey, you guys looking?
So maybe I'll get one, put it on my deck. We'll probably catch the whole deck on fire, but it would be a really good time.
You can make like choo-choo noises, like steam train.
All right, boys. So Rob and I usually do this show. We always like to do the Immaculate Grid. We did this yesterday and got owned. Actually, we only had one left. Albert's always here to help us. Willie is always here to help us. But I don't know if you've ever even played this, Alex. Have you?
Yeah, I remember we got stumped on a lot.
Yeah, that sounds about right for between the two.
It was like Browns and Dolphins stuff, like rookie of the year for the Browns. And I'm like, this is a trick question.
Oh, yeah, dude. That was so tough. It was just Odell because we were thinking of it in the wrong way.
I'm like, they haven't had one.
All right, so our gridiron today at the top, from left to right, we have Las Vegas Raiders, Philly Eagles, and then 1+ rush and receiving touchdown in one game. So we're going to go LT on this first one. From the top to the bottom, we have the Chargers, Jets, and Bills. But I'm already feeling some Tomlinson, right? We're cool with that? Has to be
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
What was the 1+1?
1 plus rushing and 1 plus it's a rushing and receiving touchdown in one game.
Oh, okay.
Bills, LaShawn McCoy.
Nice. And then we could probably go like Michael Carter or even Breece Hall for this last one, right? I think Breece has had it.
I was gonna say Curtis Martin.
Let's go Curtis because Breece has not had it. I really think Michael Carter might have had it, but we'll go Curtis Martin because the percentage is way better. All right, so we knocked out that column really easy. Then we got Philly and Chargers. That's Sproles, right?
You could do that or Ryan Matthews.
Nice.
Yeah.
Las Vegas and Chargers.
That's tough. I was trying to think.
What was that receiver? What was that receiver that just he went there? He had a great year, and then we really never heard from him again.
What team?
Like 3 years ago, he went from Chargers. I think he went from Chargers to Las Vegas, or vice versa. I think he went to Las Vegas. Oh my God, he had such a good year, and then he was literally like a nothing burger afterwards.
I have no idea.
Man.
It's gonna be tough. I feel like, yeah.
It's gonna kill me. It was him and Hunter Renfro. I think was the one that ended up showing out. I want to say that was Hunter Renfro's rookie year.
Oh, no.
Willie gave a better one though.
What was it?
Khalil Mack. Man, Chargers and Raiders.
I keep thinking, did they just need to play on the same team? I'm thinking of
Now think of a wide receiver that was on the Chargers and Raiders, Willie. You would know this. I swear you owned him in a league before.
Like Chargers and Raiders.
All right, so we're down to 4.
Yeah.
Jets and Raiders, Jets and Eagles, Bills and Raiders, Bills and Eagles. Would have been nice to use LaShawn McCoy right here.
That's what I thought you guys were saying originally to the Bills and Eagles one.
Good going. Good going.
I feel like the only option is LaShawn McCoy. I'm trying to think what Bills.
Well, this would be. You could do Marshawn right here, right?
Yeah, that's Marshawn.
I'm kind of feeling myself right now.
Yeah,
let's go.
You could do Marshawn on the Bill. No, we're gonna use it for that. Andre Reed. Did he play for the Eagles ever? I don't think so.
The receiver?
Yeah.
For the Bills?
He played for the Bills.
You could do a T.O. for that one.
T.O. for the Bills?
Oh, yeah.
T.O. played for the Bills for a little bit, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Are you sure?
I'm almost 100% sure. I'm not looking it up.
Woo!
Yeah, he's right.
You can't look it up. That's cheating. You look
Raiders and Jets. Like, was Sanchez ever a Raider?
Ooh, I always try to think of QBs and backup QBs, honestly. And I always try to get Ryan Fitzpatrick somewhere.
Yeah, Fitz never played
I don't
for
think
the Raiders.
Fitz would probably.
Jet Raider.
All right, hear me out. Did Gino ever go to the Las Vegas?
No. Not that I know of.
No.
Terrell Pryor.
His name kept coming in my head too, though.
Terrell Pryor.
I don't think we're gonna get this, but
I think we are.
I know for a fact he was on the Raiders. I don't know if he had a very short stint on the Jets. Why does it keep doing this? I did unlimited. We were right.
Yeah.
But we're out of guesses now. I switched to enable unlimited and didn't give us unlimited, so we missed out on this last one. Because
Albert's got one. Mark Sanchez for Jets and Eagles.
Damn. Mark Sanchez. We got it. We finished it.
Yeah.
We win. That's what I come to a conclusion.
The Breece Hall guess there is the reason we don't have one because I put Breece Hall there, so you guys can blame me.
Yeah,
okay. So this wide receiver is going to crush my spirits, but
I keep trying to think. It's
I want to say it was Chargers 2017.
They were
Tyrell
Yes, it
Williams,
is. It is.
yeah.
I kept thinking Vincent Jackson, but I knew it wasn't Vincent Jackson.
Thank
But I knew it
you.
was like a deep.
It was
Thank you, Willie.
Tyrell. He was what, like 6'3", 6'4"?
I was like, what did 20? I didn't see Willie's comment. I'm like, what did 2017 resonate with both of you that you immediately thought of who it was? But then I saw his comment. Yeah, he went off and then he did nothing with, I want to say it was with the Raiders right after.
Yeah, he got hurt.
Yep. It was right. Oh, it was right around COVID year, actually. I think he opted out COVID year. Damn, that would have been a good telling point, too. I think he opted out of COVID year.
Yeah,
All right. So I have some news. We're going to kind of, yeah, he did, Will. Kind of go through this a little bit. Achane was listed as limited. Aaron Jones, highly unlikely to play on Thursday. I know this isn't huge news, but Luke Musgrave is actually in a Green Bay area hospital due to a pretty serious abdominal injury. I felt like that went under the radar.
Was that appendix or something?
It just says abdominal. Yeah, he was discharged today as well, but the fact that he was in there. Kenneth Walker was a non-participant, and we think we can assume he's not playing.
No.
Geno Smith was limited, and DK Metcalf was listed as a non-participant. So just some injury updates. Tuesday's not going to bring us the most news, just really some practice updates. Yeah, but outside of that, did you guys see any other news that you wanted to kind of talk about, or you want to expand on any of those?
No,
not really. I'm sure you guys did the Tim Boyle stuff, right?
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit last night.
Yeah.
I think it's a net zero, and I honestly think there's negatives that could come from it more than there is positives.
Yeah, I think he
agree.
actually is worse than Zach Wilson, but
I do too. They have done. I might as well bring up this conversation with you guys before we get into studs and duds. They have literally done absolutely dog shit to back him up with anything remotely to bring success.
yeah, that line is not protecting him. The play calling's not great.
And I mean, like the QBs behind him. Like, why get two QBs that could potentially be worse than him?
Yeah, that's true.
I think they just didn't have money. They spent money on Dalvin Cook. They spent money on Mecole Hardman that they ended up getting rid of. They spent money on Lazard. Like, they were out of money. They couldn't sign anybody half decent.
Once they got rid of Mecole and somebody picked him up, doesn't that essentially take? I mean, it obviously takes whatever.
No, if he goes through the waiver,
paychecks.
I think if he goes through the waiver period, I think they're still stuck. They're stuck with his contract, I think.
They did spend way too much on Alan Lazard.
In theory, if Rodgers thrown the ball, it could have been okay, but I'll be honest, I don't know if they even would have been that good with Rodgers. They looked terrible preseason. They couldn't block. O-line was a big issue going into the season.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
That O-line needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
I think it's ranked the worst in the league right now.
Yeah, I think I saw that too.
And Boyle's going to throw 3 or 4 picks this game.
I would put the line at 3.
I'm putting money on. I'm just going to bet on every down turnover from Boyle. Turnover on downs plus 1,000.
So part of me thinks that. I mean, not part of me. A lot of me thinks that we're not going to see Aaron Rodgers this year. Like, right, there's all this talks of like him coming back, but I don't think they're going to keep it close enough for him to come back. That defense is so freaking good. I mean, it's literally like watching the Browns kind of just with a little bit of the Browns have a little bit of better offense. The defense is keeping them in games.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, obviously, like you said, the Browns better offense, but
Browns have a drastically better offense. Browns have a good O-line. I know, like, people somehow like to try to shit on the Browns O-line. It's a top 10 offensive line.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're just Rodgers would have helped the line by scheming up audibles to make the plays have some success.
In theory, you would maybe, but in that division, and I don't know.
audible out of runs versus certain defenses, and audible out of runs. I think you meant out of passes versus defense on that second part. All right, boys. So I don't know if either of you. Alex was once on one of these shows. Norton, have you been on a Studs and Duds episode before?
I don't think I have this year actually, because I
Nice.
usually are Thursday at 7, and I usually work
Yeah.
Thursdays at that time. So yeah, I don't think I have.
Well, ready to hear your studs and duds of the way. And the way that Rob and I kind of go about it, we go obviously there's QB studs, QB duds in each position. Let me hear both of your, and not at the same time, of course. So let me hear both of your QB studs. Who wants to kick it off with the QB studs?
So definitely at the same time.
Yeah, yes. So say them exactly at the same time, talk over each other too.
Yeah, that's what we planned before. You didn't know, but
Hmm.
but no.
Let me.
You
Yeah,
wanna
let's go to you, Norton. Yep.
Yeah.
Alex
Go
is
to me?
you can see it in his eyes.
You said the studs.
The studs.
Just
It's
one
for
and
the
talk
week,
about.
Willie. Yeah. Talk about anybody that you have under your studs list. We want to hear them all for QBs. For QBs.
Yeah, so for me, Kyler Murray is the first one. I mean, so before the year, I think knew Mario at least. Like I was really hesitant on Kyler. Like even that startup that we had, he slid so much in that
Seventh
startup
round or
thing.
something.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I was still past it because I was so nervous about like the fact that he was coming back from an ACL and like being a running quarterback. Like that
Right.
was like biggest hesitation for me. Like if he was just a pure pocket passer only, like I wouldn't have been as worried. But the fact that he was a runner, so that was my biggest like hesitation. And so far, like the past 2 games that I've seen him, he's looked fast and he's looked good and looks
He's
good
looked
as a
real
runner. Yeah, and he so I mean through the 2 games he has 84 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, 13 carries. So he's getting 6 and 7 those 2 games,
which is what you want. That's the
Yeah.
exact number of carries you want.
Yeah, so I'm all the way back in. Like I mean the Rams have been a little bit tough. Obviously Aaron Donald's tough. Their outside corners have been tough. But again, it's Kyler Murray in a dome, playing from behind, likely getting dropbacks, running like. And it's just I'm all in back with Kyler Murray.
This is music to Alex's ears. I mean, this
I've
dude
been
has been
saying this all freaking season. Turds.
So I didn't think he would even come back. I am convinced now that the reason both Kyler Murray and Justin Fields, and take this however you want, Alex, you could disagree. I am convinced that both the reasons that they are playing right now, because they're Cardinals for sure, maybe not so much the Bears. Cardinals are for sure eliminated from playoffs. I know it's not statistically eliminated, but like the likelihood is so freaking slim. These guys are playing in front of their new GMs and saying they're trying. This is their. Are we keeping these guys? Are we shipping them off? Sort of. I don't know if you want to call it a tryout because I don't necessarily think it's that, but they need to know that they're the guy moving forward. That's the only reason I can understand why both Fields and Murray are in the games right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that for sure. Obviously, you and I went back and forth a little bit on it.
Keeping Murray game ready.
Willie sometimes says some crazy shit.
But yeah, I mean, I do agree. Like my whole thought the whole time was that he's going to come back just because he wants to play and not like just sit out, because it's going to be a bad look on him either way. Either it looks like he's taking too long to return from an injury and it's not right, or he's voluntarily sitting out, which that doesn't look good for any future employer either, or whatever, what team wants to take him on. And so either way, like I thought he was coming back. I just didn't expect him to run this much. Like I really, I don't know. I mean,
and it's really not a ton, but he's just running for good chunk gains. He's taking it.
He looks like Kyler Murray.
He does.
Exactly.
He looks like Kyler Murray.
These I don't have the number in front of me, but I am positive out of the 13 runs, I bet you only maybe 1 to 3 of them were actually drawn up.
Yeah, could be.
Who else you got on this QB studs list?
So yeah, my other stud. This one's a little bit deeper, more of a DFS kind of play and things like that. But Gardner Minshew against Tampa. Minshew's always been kind of like a wild card week to week. We've seen him like produce great for fantasy. We've seen him be awful. But Tampa Bay has been getting shredded like every week.
Shredded.
Yeah, like and
Secondary is bad.
100%, dude. Their secondary is horrible. They're not quite the run stopper that they were like a couple years ago, where they
It's
were
not
like
bad.
the best, but they're still much better stopping the run than they are the pass. Game's gonna be another one. Game's gonna be in a dome. Should have Downs back. Yeah, I expect him to have a big game.
I didn't mean to put this up to interrupt you, but no. Let me read this because Willie wants this to be, I'm sure, locked in forever. If Chicago keeps Fields, Harrison's going to Chicago, Williams to New York, and May to New England. Y'all heard
I'm gonna just go ahead and say wrong on all of those. I hate to say it, Willie, but Bears aren't gonna. I mean, the Bears could get Marvin Harrison. That is plausible.
You don't think he goes that high?
Do I think Marvin? I think Marvin Harrison's a top 5 pick.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
Williams to New York, I don't think happens. They just invested a shit ton, even though they're only on the hook for another season. I don't see it, and I don't think the Patriots are taking another white quarterback anytime soon. It's not happening. They need somebody super mobile, not Daniel Jones mobile.
Vanilla Vic, baby.
Yeah, New England's either going Caleb Williams or Marvin Harrison. They're not going to get arguably the second best QB.
I don't think they go Marvin Harrison because it just wouldn't make sense. Although
it makes 100% sense. We have the worst wide receivers in the league.
Unless they plan on signing the guy, everybody's lost their faith in Mac.
Here's the thing, like, this team isn't winning this year. It's not winning next year. They're not making the playoffs probably in the next couple of years. There's going to be drafts of quarterbacks. There's going to be quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins is going to become available. Like, there will be other options, but we need a receiver.
Willie and myself are derailing this episode, but I do love the Gardner Minshew call out because Tampa Bay has absolutely been a funnel for the pass. They just went up against. It was the week prior with Stroud, who had a day against them, and then they followed that up with. I think it was Brock Purdy who went almost. I think it was 21 of 25 for 3 touchdowns, 300 yards.
rating, perfect rating.
Jeez, so they have been just
torched them.
And we had a text message, Norton, about how it's the San Francisco 49ers just funneling their best players, the things that Arthur Smith just chooses not to do. Because when you look at the receivers that Brock Purdy threw to, Alex, he threw to 4 different receivers. Can you name those 4 receivers?
Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle's not included.
There was 4 different pass catchers.
Okay, so Kittle, C-Mac.
Yep.
The way it should be.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah,
it's your best players.
It's wild because we I was gonna say we talked about how that, like, they do it, Philly does it, and Miami, like, they just funnel to their best players and look at how good they are. Like, why do the other teams? Why is Arthur Smith trying to get cute? Like, it's just.
You can almost say, why is Kansas City trying to get cute? Decide a number 1. I get it. You guys might think that there is no number 1 there, but it is. It absolutely is. And he was doubled last night. Give Rashi the goddamn ball. Okay, derailing us once again. Alex, let me hear your QB studs you got for the week.
So who I'm rolling with this week at quarterback is Joshua Dobbs. I like the matchup. He's going to get you some scrambling yards. I think he gets a decent amount of opportunities with his legs to open up the offense with his arm. I know that the D he's going against has been solid, but they have been vulnerable to mobile QBs. It's one of those things where it's like you doubt him every week, and then he surprises you every week. And I don't think Jay Jetta plays this week. Sounding like he's not. Yeah, it honestly sounds like it might be a couple more weeks, but I do like Dobbs this week.
Dobbs is facing the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
They played
Bad
well
secondary.
they've had moments and then they've had good
Right.
games, right? Like they
Right.
locked Jared Goff up last week for the majority of that game.
Mhm.
But the fourth quarter, you really saw them kind of revert back to what they are. And if Dobbs can kind of hone in there with Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson,
I think it's just going to be like the legs issue. Like with Goff, he's not mobile. And the Bears have had trouble with quarterbacks who get out of the pocket and open up the offense with their legs. So I like him this week. Speaking of mobile quarterbacks, I also like Justin Fields this week. Even though he is going against a defense that blitzes the most in the NFL, that can create holes.
It can.
So him being mobile, he looked pretty good, last week. He is Justin Fields. He's solid. I still don't think he's a great QB, but what he does with his legs and DJ Moore is good enough. And I think Cole Kmet gets targeted heavily this week. I think he actually has a pretty good week this week.
This defense has mostly been playing better. They kept Russell Wilson to 259-1 last week, or I think it was. And then Derek Carr was locked down against this defense. Minnesota's defense has been playing better. Yeah, it's Derek Carr, and he got hurt in that game. Then we saw Jameis throw a couple picks, with also a couple touchdowns. Defense is playing better, though. Yeah. Minnesota.
Yeah. Brian Flores has been making some changes. They do look better. But with blitzing that much, you do open up holes. You open up holes in the run game. With Wilson, you saw him when he got out of the pocket. Things opened up. They got to him quick. But as soon as he got out of the pocket, there was a lot of one-on-one matchups. So it's just going to be on field. He's going to have the opportunities this week.
Yeah,
which is
you guys. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you guys know what Minnesota, how often they play man versus zone?
I don't have it. Do you have it, or like are you quizzing us?
No. I was gonna see, because I know anytime it's a man defense, it's a little bit easier for guys to run, but blitzing and man defenses are easier to break, contain, and get more run, especially because if it's man defense and the guy, D-backs have their backs turned,
right,
as opposed to if they're zone, they're face up, and they're easier to step up. But yeah, so I just know that any team that plays a lot of man, mobile QBs can kind of get them on the ground more often.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you knew. I don't know. That's why
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not either.
I was trying to find it real fast, but I don't seem to see it quite yet. But I think we can find it pretty quick. No, I like that, and I think what you're getting at here is Fields could have a big day on the ground, and anything. This is how I feel, so maybe I am putting words in your mouth. Anything additional through the air will be nice, and he's playing against man is essentially what you're saying, or hoping for is the matchup that he gets. Alex, sticking with you, let's hear some of these QB duds that you have for the week.
I don't want to play Russell Wilson versus Cleveland this week. It is the best.
That's right.
He's been solid and he's played well. Sean Payton is turning the team around. Cortland Sutton is legit, but it's still the Browns. That's how the Browns are winning their games, is completely
Cortland's
defensive.
been balling.
Yeah, Cortland's good. Judy is he's a bust. Judy's a bust. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
Looked good last week.
He on his open, where he was wide open, he looked like he could catch a ball. It's I hate the separation stats for Judy. It's he's just standing and nobody's around him. But Cleveland's a legit defense. I don't love it. Typically, I would expect, Russell Wilson have anywhere between 15 to 20 ballpark in there. This week, I think he's under 15 points. Could be closer to 10. So I don't love it. And Jordan Love, he's had a couple good weeks. But I think the Lions D can get pressure. This is a rivalry game. I don't love it this week. And Aaron Jones is looking like he's out. So I wouldn't play him this week.
I want to expand on a couple things here. The Jordan Love one, I actually see that Detroit's defense is one that I'm afraid of. Now, obviously, we just saw the weird game in Chicago. This is another divisional matchup. They're typically divisional matchups are just weird in general and kind of unpredictable in ways. But no, Aaron Jones is a huge part of this offense. And whether he's been effective this year or utilized, he is just a big part of Jordan Love's safety blanket, part of his game. Robbie talks about it all the time. It does suck that he's going to be out because he is super helpful for the young QB. Going back to Denver, crazy that we all kind of were worried that Sean Payton was about to get Urban Meyer out of the league.
Yeah, it's not happening.
It's not happening. He's turned that team around.
He's a good coach.
And other thing that's crazy is he kicked off 2 major defensive players. And that's when it started turning around. So what was going on in that locker room?
Yeah.
Greed, divas, personality issues.
It was Randy Gregory and one other one that he.
Yeah, Gregory's had issues. He's been a headache anyways.
There's one other one too, and I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah.
They cut. And
Sean Payton's the truth. Yeah, Sean Payton's the truth. I mean, I'm not saying Russell Wilson is going to be anywhere near what he was in Seattle, but
sure as hell's playing like it.
He's playing well, and with worse weapons than what he had in Seattle.
This is very similar to how Russ played in Seattle. It's not like he ever threw for that many yards. In certain games he did, of course, but kind of a
deep
high
passes.
efficiency.
It was a lot of deep ball throws, play action pass, and that's the thing with Peyton. Has made an effort to make sure the running game is the predominant thing they're doing is running the ball, not passing it.
Yep. It's been fun to see. It's everything that you actually really want in fantasy because you'll know exactly what to expect out of this offense next season. It immediately, as long as he stays healthy, puts Javonte in top 12 from volume standpoint because you just expect him to get a good amount of touches. And then it keeps you wondering, like, we'll see what they do with the wide receivers in the offseason. But if there is a guy that, like, if they do trade away Jerry Jeudy, which I think is the only maybe trade candidate now, it does elevate guys like Marvin Mims as a deep field threat, which we know Sean Payton likes, which we know Russell Wilson likes, because that's how they've used him so far this year. All right, Norton, hit us with some of your QB duds.
Yeah, same game, other side. Makes me a little bit nervous with Jared Goff saying he's gonna have a dud game at home against in a game where they're favored. But I think ultimately, like, the thing is the Packers, they've allowed the 3rd fewest fantasy points to QBs, basically because teams just run all over them, and we saw it happen the first matchup. They had 211 yards on the ground. Monty had a monster game. He had 3 touchdowns, like 37 fantasy points or something. And it's just, and also without Aaron Jones, like, I don't think this game's super competitive. Like, I think the Lions can really just destroy him in this game. And so if he doesn't, like, he could be part of the reason why they get up big early. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking from that standpoint. But if they do just go super run heavy, even from the jump, like, Goff could have a down game. I think he had his 2nd worst game fantasy wise against them last time because they did run so much, and teams have been running all over them. So yeah, and it one makes me a little bit nervous. The other one is Sam Howell.
Baltimore was his worst, and then Green Bay was his 2nd worst.
Okay, yeah, I knew it was. I was gonna say I thought it was his 2nd worst. Sam Howell against Dallas. Dude's been awesome this year, and it's been volume based, and it could be another volume based. He could get a lot of garbage time in this one, but garbage time could be early in this one. I do think that the Cowboys defense is like one of the defenses that capitalizes on, like, pressure and turnovers, and Sam Howell has been the one that's been taking a ton of sacks, and I expect the Dallas defense to get to him often in this one. So yeah, I mean, the way he's going to have to save his day if he does is they're going to be down and garbage time stuff, which could happen, but I don't see this one being a good game for Howell.
I have so many things to say, but I know I'm going to bog down the information that you guys brought. But I do want to leave you guys with a question because I think the Commanders are now falling apart. I think we have last week just meant this is the derailment of the season because really they would have to try to steal the third or the second wild card in the same, and it would be 3 playoff teams in the same division, which is definitely possible, being that the NFC is so weak.
Yeah,
it can happen. And I think we'll see it in the AFC North. Anyways, Sam Howell, is he the answer moving forward? Like if they do not make playoffs, I don't know what their win count is currently. Is he their quarterback, or are we going to see them look for a new quarterback in the draft? We got a new owner, did not draft him. I think we see Ron Rivera's cut after this year, maybe before the year. Do they stick with Sam Howell?
I think so.
I think so.
It's a year, at least another year.
I think so. Personally, I only think so because I don't think they're gonna get an opportunity at a quarterback that they feel would be
better.
Yeah.
So they're 4-7, and their next couple of games: the Cowboys, Dolphins, Rams, Jets. Rams and Jets are winnable. 49ers, Cowboys. They have 2 winnable games in there. In my opinion. Now, they always match up well against the division, so there's 2 Cowboys games in there, and we know the Cowboys like to fuck around and find out. But to me, there's really 2 winnable games, and I don't even know if they're that winnable with the Rams and Jets. They're very could go either way.
I just don't see a quarterback that's going to be around 12, 10.
I think they're top 10. I think they finished top 10 pick.
I think it's going to be near it, but I think May's off the board. Williams is off the board. After that, it's a lot of athletes and quarterbacks who are going to be very raw.
Bo Nix, yeah.
Yeah, and Bo's a guy. If I'm taking a shot at a third quarterback, I'm taking Bo just because of the amount of time he's played, and the fact he's adjusted on more than one team. But I wouldn't love it. Bo doesn't have I'll be honest, Sam Howell has a better arm than Bo does. I think they keep Sam Howell unless a quarterback becomes available via trade or free agency, and they might go that route. But it's all going to come down to new coach. There is a rumor. I don't know if it happens, but that they could make a trade for Bill Belichick. And if that were to happen,
I've been seeing a lot of Chargers rumors around that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at either one, honestly. I don't think the Chargers to me, it's like I'd be more surprised if the Chargers made the move compared to Washington.
Yeah.
Just because the defense has pieces where the Chargers they have contracts on defense, but they don't have a defense.
Well, Washington's losing a lot of their pieces or lost a lot of pieces.
Well, yeah, they cleared up cap. Yeah, they're clearing up cap space, but they do have some good young talent there. But I like Howell. I don't like in this game. It's Dallas, but I do like Howell.
Well, switching it up a little bit, going back to our studs and duds, RB studs. Who do you got for this week? We'll start with you, Norton, because I think I'm looking at your list.
All right, let's check here. So David Montgomery. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. He destroyed Green Bay last time, and I mean, since returning, he's stepped right back in and just been eaten. Like he had 20.6 and 17.8 the last 2 games after returning from injury. 37.1 the last time they played. Packers have allowed the 7th most fantasy points. They're currently 7.5 point favorites. I wouldn't be surprised if that line moves further. So yeah, I mean, everything sets up, it seems like, for a Monty game where he's going to get a lot of work. They're going to, use him as the closer type of guy. And so I could see him getting, 20 plus carries, 100 plus yards, a touchdown or 2. Like, I expect a big game out of him.
Yeah, the Detroit Lions running backs are literally what we talked about. I think it was before the season, but because this is what Dan Campbell has been looking to recreate, the New Orleans Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, and he finally has it. He finally has exactly what he wants. David Montgomery, outside of the game he's been injured in, has scored double-digit fantasy points in every single game. Again, outside of the one he was injured in, where he played 26% of the snaps. And I mean, he's just been a monster. Has been a monster for fantasy.
Yeah, that whole RB Frankenstein thing, that the graphic from back in the day is coming true at this point. But yeah, the other one for me, I think King Henry gets back on track here.
I
He was
hope
struggling.
so.
I
They gonna
know,
feed
dude.
him?
He was, well, that's the thing, is they only gave him what, 10 and 11 carries the past 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a little bit weird, but like, I don't know, like I'm kind of writing it off to fluky stuff here. I mean, we've seen him time and time again get stronger as the year goes on. I mean, eventually Father Time's going to catch up to him, right? But
Right.
I don't know if it's right now. This is such a great stretch for him down the stretch. Like, he has an amazing stretch playoff run here. And it starts this week against Carolina, who Tony Pollard got back on track. So I think Henry gets back on track with this. I think the Titans want him to get back on track. I think they want to feed him, and I do think he's going to have a big game this week.
Well, I love this call too, because the way that, how did you say, what team funnels? Tampa Bay funnels offenses funneled through the pass. Carolina's the opposite. Offenses typically funnel through the run. They've actually been pretty solid against the pass.
Yeah, they're a run funnel.
It can happen. But like, look at Stroud, who's been on a tear literally outside of the Carolina game over the last 3 or 4 weeks. So it is a run funnel team.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hope.
Yeah, Alex has him in Dynasty. He's trying to make his playoff push, and he needs them to start heating up. Alex, give us some of your RB studs here.
Yeah. So I'm starting Gus Edwards probably every week going forward. He's just, dude, he's LeGarrette Blount this year. Anytime they're in the red zone, they're giving Gus Edwards the ball, and I see why. He's big, falls forward, he hits holes hard, and he's a big dude. And that team loves to run the ball, and Lamar's playing great. So it's just I don't care who they play. It could be Dallas Cowboys, it could be the Cleveland Browns. I'm still starting Gus Edwards.
8 TDs throughout the year, and he goes against the Chargers defense, which just lost Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
I don't know how long, but definitely a weak defense.
Yeah, he should have a big game. And DeAndre Swift, I just think he's too talented. When he has the ball in his hands, he looks phenomenal. The Bills aren't complete chumps, but I just think with how the passing offense has been with the Eagles, the offense overall looks better when DeAndre Swift gets the ball going. It opens up everything else. It still blows my mind the Eagles are giving the ball to anybody else. Like Boston, like watching Scott get touches was like he didn't look very good. Gainwell doesn't look anywhere near Swift. Swift is just arguably the most underrated pure runner in the league.
I agree, and it makes you wonder what happened in Detroit. Don't know if he was just dealing with injuries. Yeah, like
injuries. I think it was also like the running in between the tackles thing, where they were like, he's too scared to run in the middle.
Always said it.
Yeah. But now he's proven it's just wrong. Like, he's like, you guys drafted a running back to replace me. I still don't know if Gibbs is better than Swift, but Gibbs is really good.
He's been really good, dude.
Yeah. The passing, they get him involved in the passing game, and that's something that they didn't do with Swift, like, consistently.
Yeah. I feel like Gibbs, just from watching, I feel like Gibbs is kind of like more explosive, like the acceleration, the burst on him. Like, he looks insane, like when I see Gibbs, but like I think Swift is kind of more, I don't know,
shifty.
Yeah, as of right now, like I think he's, and obviously he's in a better. I mean, both of them are awesome offenses. I can't really knock that one way or another, but
both have great O-lines.
Yeah.
Lions might be a better O-line now.
It really might, dude.
Swift is just it just really is a weird thing though, because like you have a guy that's Swift and Gibbs, and right now we're talking about how close they seem as far as skill level. But obviously Detroit was just fed up with some of the injuries and wanted to move on. But it's just such a high draft capital to pay for that.
And the other weird thing too is, dude, what like Gainwell juked us out in the beginning of the year like crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
We
What
had
was that?
one
What was that
touch.
even-
We had one touch the first week. Yeah.
Yeah, for Swift.
2 touches. One rush for
Weird.
3 yards, 1 reception for 0.
Super weird. Like, and if Gainwell wasn't hurt, like, does that stuff shift back and then we
Was that
don't
what
see
happened?
Swift?
Gainwell got hurt because I just
Yeah.
thought
he-
Swift just dominated the second
No,
game.
Gainwell got hurt and Swift got the start.
Yeah, it was like Gainwell had that good game. He was one of the biggest waiver ads, but then he was like banged up and then ended up not being able to play the next game. Swift dominated, and then it just didn't ever went back. It was Swift the rest of the time now.
So I'm hoping we're Singletary.
Me too.
Singletary looking freaking great right now.
Me
RB
too.
duds for the week, Alex. It appears that you just went through my dynasty team and started picking off all of my guys.
Charbonnet. Walker's looking like he's going to be out. I'll be honest, Charbonnet still doesn't look that great. He's not explosive. He's fine. But going against the Niners, I don't love it. Gino's probably going to be out. That's what it's looking like. This is going to be a really rough week offensively for the Seahawks, and I don't think Charbonnet has a good game at all. And then the other one is Chase, or not Chase, but Chuba Hubbard. They had a split backfield last week. Both were efficient. I think Miles Sanders, kind of I was saying before, there was a few-week period where he just didn't look himself. I think he's dealing with injuries. Chuba, I think, is a little shiftier than Miles Sanders is, but I think this is going to be close to split backfield for the rest of the season if they're both healthy.
Yeah, it has to be a desperate play if you're playing either Miles Sanders or Chuba at this point.
Yeah.
Chuba. Yeah, that whole Carolina team, they're
terrible.
Frustrating.
I had a
They're
conversation.
terrible.
Was out watching the games, and like we have the conversation on here a lot too. Why do coaches get so recycled in the NFL when they failed prior? Never makes much sense to me. There's certain guys that have shown that they can be a winner at a high level. Let's example Doug Peterson, but bringing a guy back like Frank Wright is just kind of odd to me.
Yeah, he was never successful.
No, I don't get it. Don't get it.
Like it's like Bill. People gave Bill like shit, but it's like Bill was the best defensive mind, had arguably one of the best defenses at the Giants in the history of football. Solid at the Browns, goes to the Jets, was going to get handed the Jets because he was a dominant defensive coordinator for the Jets while Parcells was there. And it's like, yeah, there's certain coaches you give a second chance. Pete Carroll, you give a second chance. But Frank Wright was never Pete Carroll in college.
No. And I mean, he's failed with 3 different teams right now, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he have a shot with the Eagles, or am I wrong?
It's like Adam Gase. It's like, oh, well, he was at the Broncos. Like, bro, Ray Charles could have been the offensive coordinator for the Broncos and they're winning the Super Bowl. What are we doing?
Yeah, Peyton was the offensive coordinator.
Right. 100%.
We got to do Norton's RB duds on the week. Yes.
Yeah, so Javonte Williams versus Cleveland, kind of the same theory as Russ. I mean, I like the volume for Javonte, and I've like what I've seen mostly over the as the season gone on. Last week was rough, but he's getting a lot of work. But Browns probably maybe the toughest defense in the NFL in just all around standpoint. And they've allowed the 6th fewest fantasy points to running backs. Yeah, and also the other thing that was like discouraging was Pirine was kind of used like it seemed like a 2-minute drill down the stretch, like
A lot.
yeah, like that was weird to me because McLaughlin had looked better than Pirine. It can seem like he kind of replaced him, and then all of a sudden last week, in like that crucial drive and 2-minute drill, it was like Pirine was in there, and I was like, I hate to see that for Javonte because then if that's the case and in any of those kind of situations, him not getting in there, that's like crucial points for him, especially in a matchup where you it doesn't seem like it's going to be high scoring. So he's going to need all the volume he can get. But I don't like that one. And then I also don't like James Conner against the Rams.
Yeah.
He's gotten 30 carries, but he's only gotten 15.6 PPR points in those 2 games since coming back. And he hasn't really been involved as a pass catcher too much. I mean, the first game he had 0 targets. Last game he had 3. He's only caught 2 passes for 1 yard. And so, I mean, again, he's kind of a workhorse, but he's not getting the pass work that we saw that he got previous years with Kyler too. And Kyler, obviously, we talked about he's running fine. So, yeah, Connor makes me pretty nervous this week if I had to rely on him.
Yeah. The Rams just shut down. I'm trying to think who they just played. Seahawks. Yeah, they stopped. Yeah. Obviously, both Kenneth Walker left early, but Charbonnet. It's going to be a tough matchup for him, right. And also with Javonte. The only way that Javonte, there's 2 ways that Javonte could have a successful fantasy day because we know the touches will be there. The 2 ways, either A, he gets involved in the passing game throughout the game prior to a 2-minute drill, which is a possibility against Cleveland Browns defense. They do have good coverage a lot of the times. So if Russ is dumping off a lot, there's a path. There's a path where he could have 8 targets by the 3rd quarter or something stupid like that. Also, he could just fall into the end zone, right, which would save his fantasy day. But I hear you. Let's flip it over because we are running low on time to wide receiver studs. Hit us with your wide receiver studs, Norton.
Michael Pittman to go along with the Gardner Minshew stack there. Again, we already talked about it. Tampa Bay has been shredded. Pittman's been getting like massive target volume every game. He's caught 8 passes in 3 straight. He's got 33 targets in the past 3 games. Like, dude is getting fed early and often. I expect him to destroy that secondary. The other one, DJ Moore,
14 on the year right now in PPR.
yeah,
he's been awesome. I actually tried to trade for him in a lot of leagues last week. And Yahoo defaults were last week trade deadline. Some other leagues I was in were trade deadline last week. I was trying to trade for Pittman because he was on bye, and I was like, any team that I'm looking good and I'm trying to trade for Pittman. But
say what you want about Gardner, but he honestly is one of my favorite fantasy assets for the receiving core. I mean, that's the year that DJ Shark had one of his best year.
He's this generation's Ryan Fitzpatrick, dude. Like he slings it, dude. Fitzpatrick, dude. All those
Jameis kind of falls into that too a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, Fitzpatrick, dude. If you remember, like he was feeding Stevie Johnson back in the day. He's feeding
Brandon Marshall.
Yep, Brandon Marshall was getting fed. So those guys are
he's the coach version of funneling through the offensive players, right? Like he's the coach version.
Exactly. So it's awesome to see. And it's funny because obviously we talked about Pittman before the year. I was down on Pittman because I loved Anthony Richardson and his running ability so much. And I was like, but if Minshew's in there, I totally flipped the script on Pittman. Like I loved Pittman. But yeah, so the other one. Go ahead.
Before you go on, and I know I'm killing our precious time here. I am all for a Gardner Minshew being in the league for the next 10 years with 100%. 10 different teams, starting different team every year. I would be so happy.
New England Patriots.
He really could go to like 10 teams right now and be the starter, but obviously he is a starter in the Colts right now.
If he went to New England, dude, give me all the Pop Douglas, I'll tell you. He'd be slinging it to him, man.
Gardner throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr. Sounds.
I'm here for it, honestly. But yeah, DJ Moore is the other one. He struggled comparatively with Bagent, and he was like okay at times, but obviously first game back with Fields, 9 targets, 7 catches, 96 yards, touchdown, 22.6 fantasy points in PPR. Getting a Vikings secondary, it's not like the strongest. Playing in a dome, I mean, I always hit the dome aspect, but yeah. So I expect them to be throwing pretty good amount in this one, and DJ Moore to be targeted, 8+ times in it.
The 50-yard touchdown. Don't know if you guys. I was out, so I got to actually see it live. Which, by the way, I have not done many Sundays. It is very overstimulating trying to watch it. I feel like I need this sort of chair so I can just kind of swivel across the room so I can see every single game. But that 50-yard, it was about 50 yards, if I'm not mistaken. I, again, don't know the exact number because I was watching actually on TV. Was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was a great catch by DJ Moore and a good throw by Justin Fields.
Yeah.
It's what MVS couldn't do. It's what Quentin Johnston could do. DJ Moore could do it. Alex, hit us with some of your wide receiver studs for the week.
Yeah. So Chris Olave.
This is kind of bold in ways.
Yeah. I feel like they're starting to realize that they've got to get him involved more. If Jameis is starting, I'm expecting a big game for Chris Olave.
Oh, baby, eat it up.
Yeah, I really think it's going to be – it might be his best game of the season if Jameis starts. I really hate Derek Carr, but
that's a 30-60 because I mean a 180, I guess, whatever the hell you want to call it. Because Derek Carr and Jared Goff were your guys. One way you're like, yes, look at I talked about how good Jared Goff is. Derek Carr was another guy that you didn't push as hard, but you pushed slightly, and now you're saying, screw this guy.
Yeah, I mean he sucks.
Done.
I mean it's plain and simple. He sucks. He's bad,
and he's a baby, and his body language is terrible. Like everything.
He's just he's just a bitch. But yeah, hopefully Jameis gets a start. If he does, I think he ends up being a top 5 play this week. What is this? Hey guys,
thoughts on dropping George Pickens for Cortland Sutton? Who would you start at flex and half? So yes to dropping George Pickens for Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton's
Who would you start?
Yeah.
Who would you start at flex in half PPR? Jerome Ford, Kyron Williams, if active, which I believe he will be. Charbonnet, Amari Cooper, half PPR redraft.
Ford.
I'm torn on this because I do like Ford. I might go Kyron though.
I like Kyron.
I think if Kyron's active, which I believe he will, and it's
because they released Henderson.
They did release Henderson today. I think I go Kyron.
Yeah, I like Kyron.
I do like Ford this week.
Back to your other wide receiver start.
Nico Collins.
Also another bold one.
Yeah, better doing.
He's no longer the wide receiver 1 here. What happened?
You're no longer the wide receiver 1. No, so Tank Dell is obviously just a freak of nature. And
that catch was amazing too.
And he can run every route. He can catch every ball. He's a freak. Because of that, I think defenses are going to start really focusing on Tank. Stroud has his best games when he can get the ball to Tank and he has over 100 yards. I think this gives a lot of one-on-one for Nico. I think Nico has a big game because Tank will be double-teamed this upcoming game.
And this is a good matchup to kind of put some of these studs in, right? Jacksonville, who's starting to heat up, going against Houston, who's obviously been rolling. This is a juicy matchup. An exciting game, probably going to have a high score. I would think so. I like it. Nico has not been bad by any means. I think
he's been solid. He's a wide receiver too.
Yeah,
you're not mad playing him. He's probably a flex or wide receiver 2 on most of your teams. I just think he can be. To me, it's a top 15 play for a wide receiver this week.
Nice.
So
wide receiver duds. Talk about not the top 15 plays.
Garrett Wilson.
No.
Yeah. When you have a guy like Boyle, like your last name is Boyle.
Timbo.
Yeah.
Come on, Timbo. Throw me the ball.
Tim Boyle. It just sounds like a guy who was third string in high school and his parents begged for him.
This is one all over Twitter. But the dude in college threw 12 to 26 touchdown to interception ratio. How did he get into the pros?
Who knows? All I know is he's been cut from multiple teams, and now he's going to be the Jets. He is the Nathan Peterson that we're all very excited to watch him play this week. Just kidding.
Okay, so the only way that this play bites you in the ass, if Tim Boyle is like, the only chance I have at this is to throw Garrett Wilson the ball 15 times.
I don't think it matters. They're going to double team Garrett Wilson and just play to stop the run. It doesn't matter. Tim Boyle's going to throw at least 3 picks this game, and all 3 of them are going to be thrown to Garrett Wilson.
You hate to see it. I am not excited to. I have nothing. I have nothing to say.
Yeah,
it's rough.
It sucks, but it's the truth. And then And
You literally are just looking at my dynasty roster. Enough with this shit.
I didn't even look at it. It's just hilarious. This is how it works out.
Charbonnet, George Pickens, Garrett Wilson, Jordan Love. We're at 4.
Everybody pour out some cognac and say a prayer for Mario. rough seas ahead.
So I made a lot of trades in the beginning of the year, and I'm glad I did. I have assets now moving forward. Because if not, I would be running into a Joe Burrow injury, a Mark Andrews injury, and a couple others, but just T. Higgins. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. Team still sucks.
But I had 0 assets at that point.
Right. I would not want to play any Steelers wide receivers this week. I don't care if Canada got fired. Kenny Pickett is still shit. I had some hopes for him, but he's not good.
Who do they play this week? Steelers?
Come
on.
No,
you put them on this list. You got to know who they're going against.
Hold on.
They're going against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
He said it doesn't even matter.
At home. It doesn't even matter. I think there is. I would. Optimism. I'm optimistic about the change.
Yeah, I'm not. If you're going to play any of them, it's Deontay Johnson. I don't love it. It's going to be bad. They can't pass the ball.
I hope we come back to this and it just bites you in the ass.
They're still what? Bottom 5 offense in the league? Maybe the bottom offense in the league. Are they the worst offense in the league?
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm not playing any of them. It's too risky.
It's probably them or the Jets. You
Or
had
Giants.
a couple wide receiver or Giants. Yeah, Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, baby.
The Paisan that was promised, baby. Doing all those Italians. We're a dad bod crew of Italians. So, I mean, this whole crew, we should have a Tommy. We should probably have just Tommy DeVito posters in every.
Papangula.
Yeah. He was out there slinging the rock.
He was doing that. He was doing something.
So I told this into another text as well, but I loved how completely out Rob was on Barkley, like moving forward. But it started pretty much last week, maybe the week prior, and Barkley just goes out there and has a day. There's also a great text, and I know I'm derailing us when we're already over time. There's also a great text about my dad saying, I want to go with the Washington Commanders, but knowing the moment I pick them, the Giants will end up winning this game with the Commanders making Barkley look like the next coming of Jim Brown. and he went with Miami instead and ended up winning. He is just on a miracle run right now in the survivor pool where he couldn't get past the first 3 weeks for the past 2 or 3 years. And now he is just the only one of us left. Even House lost this week. So funny shout out to him, but hit us with your wide receiver duds.
Just the or I was to say.
You just said yours, Alex.
I know. I'm so confused.
Jalen Waddle, the first one. 2 straight weeks, less than 10 points. Tyreek Hill, obviously. Like in the beginning of the year, I feel like there was a lot of talk about the Dolphins, the Bengals, and the Eagles about like the possibility of these 1A type receivers. Waddle, Devontae, and Higgins like overtaking the top guys, and I think it's been pretty clear cut in all 3 cases that the top guy was much further ahead than we wanted to probably think.
I would just like to put a disclaimer on this. I never ever said T. Higgins would overtake Jamar Chase. I know I have love for him. Never said he would overtake. I know that wasn't right.
He's putting it on the record, just so we're clear. But yeah, I mean, though it was obviously pretty popular, like bold takes among a lot of different people. Not I don't think any of us said any of it for it, but yeah,
I was not expecting this from Waddle. Can tell you that much.
Right.
Yeah.
Not in games he's been healthy. I mean, he's missed 1 game on the year. He's wide receiver 30. Like a conversation that we need to have at another point is where do you value him in Dynasty? We will hold that. We will pocket that for some time next week. But I think that's a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, seriously is. Because another thing to pocket it for with this one is I heard an interesting one was Waddle versus Tank Dell in Dynasty. So that's one to think on.
I wouldn't even know what to say.
That's what I'm
What do you
saying.
know?
I was just
Yeah.
taken aback. I didn't know what to. That's something that we could pocket for that discussion too. But yeah,
The
the
New
thing with
Wednesday episodes.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Waddle though, he's struggled lately. The Dolphins are huge favorites. Obviously, again, we're talking about Tim Boyle. The Dolphins have shown like they've run a lot when they get leads. They've been a really, really effective running team too. Obviously, Mostert's had a monster year. HN, when he's healthy, has had monster games. So I kind of expect them to just kind of get a lead and coast and run all over this team and just get out of there. And then the other one, Amari Cooper, kind of goes with DTR. I don't really. It seems like
And
he got 8.
Surtain's a dog.
Yeah, he is.
Goes
He
against
is.
Denver.
Yep, and that's the other aspect of it. I mean, Cooper got 8 targets last week, but only 4 for 34, and that was against the Steelers secondary, allowing 5th most points to fantasy receivers. I just expect the Browns to lean really heavily on Ford, Hunt, and the defense in this one, and they should be able to do that. The Broncos were like historically bad early in the season, right? But they've turned it around a little bit on, especially as a pass
lot of
defense
it.
mostly. Yeah,
Yeah.
A lot
and
of
like you
it.
said, Surtain has been a big factor in that. So I'm pretty nervous about Amari Cooper this week. I'll probably have him pretty low in my rankings.
I think that's a
I
great.
agree.
Yeah, because even if I don't think we're seeing Flacco this week, but if for whatever reason he ended up in the game, I talked about how I think Flacco at this point doesn't necessarily chuck the ball. Honestly, if you look at his games last year, Garrett Wilson did have good games. There was Yaks involved, and then the running backs had a lot of pass catches with Flacco out there.
I think Njoku actually is a decent game. So.
Solid point.
Yeah.
Tight end studs. Thank you for transitioning us, Alex. Do you have him on your tight end stud list?
No, I don't.
But you do now. So who else do you have on that tight end stud list?
Logan Thomas. I think. He gets targets. He's a part of this offense. The biggest thing with Sam Howell has been his turnovers, and I think like this week he's going against good defense. I think he ends up dumping off. Kind of the same thing with Njoku, to where they're going to try to limit turnovers. They're going to try to use the run game as much as they can. And they're just going to dump off to their tight ends. So against, Dallas, that's going to be their best route. He's the biggest target.
Darren Bland's been playing amazing football. I think he was the second cornerback on this team, third at the start. Maybe been great.
Yeah.
I think it's Darren Bland. He's been playing. He's got, I think, 3 pick sixes on the year. He's been a monster on the outside.
Yeah.
He has.
My other one is Cole Kmet. I think, Justin Fields.
Earlier.
Yeah, I think he didn't have a great game last game, but I think he does get targeted, heavily. Getting blitzed. Well, usually, if you're getting 5-6 people coming at you every play, at some point you're going to just start going to your quick routes, and it's either dump off to a running back or it's your tight end. It's the only way you're going to be able to do to open up opportunities for your receivers. So I think Kmet has a good game this game.
Kmet's been sneaky good for the season. I believe tight end 7 on the year, but I'm going to double check. Norton, who do you have on your list for tight ends for studs?
Trey McBride.
What up? Just the pod favorite. Tight end 6 is Cole Kmet. The pod favorite of Trey McBride versus, guess what? The best matchup for tight ends, the Rams. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's pretty much where we're headed there. McBride, I was actually somewhat down on him compared to you guys for a while.
No, this is the McBride show.
But I'm full on board at this point. He had kind of a mediocre last game, but he still saw 7 targets. Yeah, and still he's seen at least 5 targets.
One big target that I think Kyler missed him. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, I 100%. You're right on that. And he's seen at least 5 targets, 6 straight games, 35 targets over the last 4 games, which is basically when he's been taken over as a full-time player. Yeah. Last time they played the Rams, he had his best game to that point in the season, and that was when Ertz was still active without Kyler. So yeah, he's been balling. I expect him to keep balling. I expect Kyler to throw to him a lot. and I expect him to have another big week. And we're looking at he's another one where the dynasty value too.
Yes, yes,
is to be
yeah, that's
discussed
exactly what I was
where,
going to finish
like,
with.
how
Put him
high
on
is
that
it?
episode.
Yeah.
Where is he?
He's got to be high, man. At this point, like he's because it's the second year, right? Like obviously, last
Second
year
year.
was a
High
struggle.
draft capital, second round pick. The high.
Yeah.
He was the tight end 1 of that class.
Could be tied to Kyler. I mean, obviously, there's always been the rumors about Hollywood Brown leaving or getting traded. Yeah, he's got to be pretty high.
Well, yeah, because
honestly.
he's on his last year of his contract. So it could be
Yeah.
Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison season. Who else do you have on that list? I know it sounds juicy. Sounds
It
real
does.
juicy.
I love it. Jake Ferguson. We're talking about a Washington secondary and pass defense in general. That's just horrible. I mean, I know they get torched by receivers. I'm expecting the receivers to torch them too. I just think that they cannot stop the pass. They're absolutely horrible. They've allowed, I think, the most fantasy points to QBs, to wide receivers. It hasn't been the most to tight ends, but I don't I don't always look at specifically tight end matchups all the time. It's just if the passing game can get through, especially because teams use tight ends differently and scheme them differently. So I think
Especially
Ferguson is
Commanders are going to try to put a focus on, and it's not going to work. They're going to try to put a focus on Lamb.
right, and I do think that Ferguson is probably the second best pass option. I know Cooks has had some games here lately, especially, but I do kind of think like on average, regularly, Ferguson is kind of the second option, and I've been pretty big on Ferguson ever since the beginning. Honestly, when you were talking about Mario a lot early on in the season,
Those targets were juicy.
yeah. So I expect him to have a big game, and I expect the Cowboys to have a big passing game in this one.
So let's hear some of these duds, tight end duds that you have for the week. Norton.
This one feels bold, but it goes back to my Jared Goff, Sam Laporta. I love Sam Laporta, but
it's been a rough 2
Yeah.
weeks for the Laportable.
yeah, he has. Yeah, the last time they played against him, he had 5 targets, 4 catches, 56 yards. Not a horrible game, but nothing big. And again, I just think I was talking before. I had Goff as kind of a dud. I'll probably have him a little bit lower than typical. Laporta, same thing. And then I'm going to have Monty and Gibbs probably higher. Like, I'm just expecting them to run all over them. So that's kind of where that one comes from. Dalton Schultz versus Jacksonville.
Can I make a note on this one too? Because
Yeah,
I think I know we've had our little dashes of dynasty. Laporta being almost the consensus tight end 1 at this point. Unfortunately, we'll have to deal with this forever. Now, this is sustainable, right? Like especially for tight end. This is perfectly fine that he stays the tight end 1, but like that's a lot of mouths to feed fantasy wise when you're looking at David Montgomery, Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Laporta. The
And
things that
possibly JMO going forward.
Perfect point. Yep.
Yeah.
And sprinkle a tiny bit of Donovan Peoples-Jones in there. But the thing I thought that would have been you.
I like Donovan Peoples-Jones. It's just not the team to be on to get targets.
The part about this, though, is we've seen really the lack of Laporta use, which he's had 5 targets in both games, which again is a fine number. It's not amazing, though. Is the Gibbs and Monty rise, right? Like they were not using Gibbs like this before the Monty injury, obviously post-bye. So I think there's room for concern that he is not quite the tight end 1 in Dynasty, but I can still hear both sides. All right, go ahead with your other tight end dud.
Dalton Schultz, Jacksonville. I like this game in general, actually. And he's another guy that has been pretty good lately. But the thing was, I feel like a lot of that good run was really when they didn't have a full both like Nico and Tank in, or at the time, like I think it was Woods was missing. I mean, I know Woods is not like a huge factor, but like
they are completely healthy besides Pierce right now.
Right. That's the thing. And the last time they played against him, he had 3 targets, 1 catch, 9 yards. CJ Stroud has been balling though, so
yeah,
this one could look rough come the weekend. But he was kind of saved by a touchdown last week. He only had 3 targets last week in the first game back with like fully healthy again. And so it's like
which is
I'm a little bit
grossly
nervous.
tight end 6 on the week, by the way. 2
I
for
know.
32 and a touchdown is tight end
Yeah.
6. Yeah.
So it makes me a little nervous. Makes me a little nervous with like them having a full complement of weapons, and him seemingly it's been like that he's not his targets and usage has gone down when they've been fully healthy.
Yeah, obviously Dalton Schultz isn't out there to block. He's very much a pass catching tight end. But I can see that is worrisome that he had 3 targets against this defense last week against the Arizona Cardinals. It would concern me, especially with, I think Noah Brown is now healthy. Now he's, again, talk about Robert Woods. Noah Brown's like the third option there, but that's still a third option that's quite a bit more athletic than Dalton Schultz. Alex got some juicy tight end duds. Let's hear the first one.
Juicy. Isaiah Likely. Surprise. When Andrews was hurt last time, he didn't do anything. Every time Andrews has been hurt, let's say Andrews has been hurt 6-7 games the last 2 years or more. He's had probably 1 good game out of that. You would think it'd be more involved. They didn't, and the offense is better than it was last year. Odell's actually looking like a good receiver. Zay Flowers
Hanged up.
Don't care. Zay Flowers is legit, and they have running backs they're able to run the ball with. Likely is not a phenomenal blocker. He is a pass-catching tight end. I would be surprised if he got more than like 3 or 4 targets, and I don't know how much he does with them. I just don't like it, especially because a lot of people are just assuming that it's like a top 10 play in tight end this week. The other one is Taysom Hill. It's surprising, but he's a top 10 tight end on the year because of everything besides being a tight end.
Right. One of the conversations Rob and I had about this, because he was starting to – we see this every year from Taysom Hill where he has this 4 or 5 game stretch of monster performances and then falls off a cliff. Now, can he go out there and do it again this week? Sure. But I'm just saying, from historically speaking, this is a weird thing that the Saints do. For whatever reason, they get him rolling and then he goes somewhere else. And the catalyst in this event is Jameis the starter, in which case it would take away from the Taysom thing.
Yeah. Yeah, unless, Taysom's getting like 10 carries a game. It's so boom or bust. It is – I wouldn't do it. It's too risky. If you're looking – if you need to play somebody who could possibly get you 15 points and is a tight end, plug Taysom in. He could go off, but he also could give you 2 points. I just think it's a very risky play this week.
I don't doubt you.
Honestly, probably going forward.
Yeah, I agree.
Before we get off here, I think I don't think Alex has one of these. Oh, that's not what I wanted to share. Come on, stop screen. I did put together a janky visual so people could see it before. Alex, do you have a DFS lineup or is it just Norton today?
Just Norton.
All right, Norton, hit us with this early DK lineup that you have for us. Is this the Sunday games then, right?
This was the Sunday ones. I didn't know if I should do the Thursday Thanksgiving stuff. No. But the first Sunday, I mean, obviously I'm going to tweak this, I'm sure. But like just looking at it quickly, it was what I was coming up with. Minshew versus Tampa at 5,100. Rashad White, 6,100 at Indy. He's been getting a ton of work. And Indy's not a matchup you're going to be scared of. Derrick Henry. Yeah, Derrick Henry versus Carolina. I mentioned that before. We talked about like he could get back on track. He's down to the cheapest point I've seen him in a long time. Stephon Diggs, he's still priced up there. He's had some rough weeks recently. Could be a squeaky wheel situation. Philly is a team that you attack through the air.
Especially
I think
the wide receiver 1.
Yeah, you could get back on. I think he gets back on track in a big way. Godwin, 6,300 at Andy again. Games in a dome. I like that matchup honestly a lot this week. Yeah. Pop Douglas.
You did the double bring back then.
Yeah. This one's more of like a cash build. Like
okay.
Yeah, it's not a turning lineup I would really want to play. Because I don't even have any stack with the quarterback and a double bring back. Like this is way more of a cash build head to head 50-50 double up type of situation. Pop Douglas, really cheap for what he's been doing. I think it's honestly only because he was on bye that the price is down like this. Giants again, not a team I'm gonna be scared of. McBride talked about how much we loved him this week. His price still is under 5K. And then Jerome Ford at Denver. Think he could run all over him. He's been getting a lot of the work. Obviously, he got a touchdown last week. And then the Texans are the cheapest D, which is surprising at 2,600. Like that, usually there's a 21, 22, 2,300 team, but there's less. It's a smaller slate because of the Thanksgiving slate. So we'll see. I mean, I know I'll probably have a decent amount of these guys in my. All these guys will for sure be in my like tournament player pool. Like I'll mix them throughout and stack different ways and things. But at least some of these will probably be in my cash build, I'm sure.
Awesome. I didn't build one up, but I probably will have one, and maybe I'll post it on Twitter and see what I come up with. But I like your call outs on that Indy game.
I want to say one thing. Did you guys ever watch like the Christmas claymation movies like growing up?
Oh yeah, dude. Like the
Rudolph
and
does Mario not look like Yukon Cornelius right now?
Why is it red?
Look at it. Look at the earmuffs, the beard. Like
that's
gotta get that,
dude.
You got to get the stuff flowing out to the side.
It could. So it's long enough. I just don't have product
for,
in it.
Taking time out of your day.
I had fun, boys, and we'll be back. We'll be back at it next week, Tuesday. So enjoy your Thanksgiving. Everyone out there, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy football. Eat up. Don't eat turkey. Eat all the good sides.
Make sure you get
100%.
the sweatpants with the nice bands that stretch. You're going to need it.
Yes.
Stay prepared.
Stay prepared. But yeah, enjoy it, and enjoy the good football. Sunday will probably be a little less fulfilling because there's less games, but we'll be back next Tuesday. Check us out. I'll get the episodes uploaded for so it's on the YouTube links. For myself, for Alex, for Norton. We love you guys. Peace out. Thank you for watching our episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
If you aren't already following us on Twitter, check us out at DadBodFS.
We'll be posting all of our best clips and videos to all of our social media: TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on there at DadBod Fantasy Squad.
Lastly, if you'd rather just listen, we make sure we post our audio of each episode on all the major streaming platforms. Stick with us all season long so together we can count our trophies and not our calories.